Hello everyone. Today I'd like to talk to you about a traditional South Indian dish called kootu. Now, what exactly is a kootu? Well, my interpretation of a kootu would be um, a thick stew made of lentils in which we incorporate a vegetable. That's the best way I can think of to describe a kootu. Now, the word kootu is in Tamil, and as I mentioned before, it's a thick stew, like a thick stew made of lentils, and we could put any vegetable into this particular dish. So, today, the vegetable that I'd like to incorporate into my kootu would be this one. This lovely vegetable is a type of spinach, and it is called Malabar spinach. I'm going to give you a better look at this vegetable. Can you see that unlike most spinach, this one has got thick, fleshy, thick leaves, and it's fleshy. It's almost succulent, and the stems are also thick and tender. You see the stems are also quite thick. Okay, so when this vegetable can be eaten raw, especially the young leaves, they can be eaten. They can be put into a salad, and you could actually eat them raw. But I must let you know that the thicker stems, especially when it's raw, it there's a type of some kind of a slimy liquid that comes out of it. So when it's cooked, that doesn't appear at all. So when you cook this vegetable, you don't have any slimy liquid or anything like that, but it does appear when it's raw. However, if you do want to incorporate it into a salad, you could just take the young leaves, and they don't have any of that substance. So today's dish, I'm going to use this, and let's get to the ingredients of the dish today. So these are the ingredients that I'm going to use today. I'm going to use some turmeric powder, and then some mixed spices. And in this case, as usual, my mixed spices are always split urad dal, mustard seeds, and cumin seeds, and then some asafoetida, then 3 cloves of sliced garlic, half a medium-sized onion sliced, 3 dried chilies chopped, and then I have some shallots, 2 shallots chopped, half a green chili. Then I've got 1 medium-sized tomato that I have chopped. This is the spinach leaves. I've only taken the leaves in this case, and I've just very coarsely chopped the leaves. I am not using the stems because I've kept aside the stems to do something else. I'll let you know later why I've kept aside the stems. Otherwise, you can use the stems. The stems, if you chop it fine, they're good to eat as well. 1 cup of tur dal or Malawi dal, and then we have half a cup of coconut milk. If you want to add coconut milk, that is. In this case, coconut oil, and then last but not least, sambar powder. I have homemade sambar powder that I'm going to use. I can, if you want, I could always let you know how I make my sambar powder. But sambar powder is optional. You only use it if you want to. Otherwise, it's not. It's not important to use sambar powder. And of course, I forgot salt. Okay, so those are the ingredients for my kootu. So the reason I kept aside the stems of the Malabar spinach was mainly because Malabar spinach is a super easy vegetable to propagate, and I would like to propagate these stems. So I've cut them like this diagonally at the end, and I've put them in some water because it's a little too late for me to go out to the garden right now. So I'll do this tomorrow morning. I will do a video on Malabar spinach propagation, and also talk about the nutritional benefits of Malabar spinach. By the way, Malabar spinach is called Pasalai Keerai in Tamil, and it's called sayur. That's the only name I know in Bahasa Malaysia. So a little oil, just a little bit because we're going to use more later. Heat it up, And then we put in the chopped onions and the green chili in there. I'm just using a small pot today. I don't really want to use a big one. Okay. Let it turn color a little. The garlic was supposed to go in as well, and then we wait for it to turn color. Now time to add a little bit of turmeric powder, and then I'm using sambar powder, but you don't have to, as I mentioned earlier. It's about half a teaspoon, and I'm going to lower the heat because then it would, otherwise it would burn. Then give it a stir. Add the tomatoes. Let the tomatoes soften a little bit, then we add some water. I'm going to add 400 ml of water and it's got a bit brown. It shouldn't have gotten that brown, but it's okay. Once the water goes in, it will all it'll be okay. So now I'm going to put this water in and we're going to let the water boil as well. You can add the salt in as well. About 1 teaspoon of salt. Now just let it come to a boil. I'm going to close it and wait. So now you can see that the water is boiling, and I'm going to add the green spinach leaves inside. Give it a stir. And let it cook for about 3 minutes. I did read somewhere that if you wanted green vegetables in Indian cooking, because Indian cooking you tend to really cook the vegetables, and in order for the green vegetables to remain green, you add a pinch of sugar. I'm not going to do that today because I don't really want to add sugar all the time, but let's see what happens today. So it's still boiling right now. I'm going to add dal. So I'm going to add a cup of dal that I've pre-boiled and kept. Okay, this is a whole cup. Okay. Just let it mix, and the dal, if it's very mushy, then you don't leave it on for too long. If it's like semi-mushy or you still have the lentils in shape, then you could leave it for a little longer. So in this case, it's this particular batch of dal that I did was terribly mushy, so I'm not going to leave it in for too long. I'm going to let it cook for a little bit and then add some coconut milk. So now I'm going to add coconut milk. You don't have to, as I mentioned earlier. I like the creamy coconut milk texture. I had about a cup, so I'm not just going to add half a cup now. I'm going to stop and make sure it doesn't boil when you add coconut milk, because otherwise you have little clotting going on there. A kootu, or that thick stew that I mentioned earlier, is basically supposed to be thick. So if you want it a little bit watery, then go slow with the dal and the lentils. If you want it thicker, like I want it, so you could always add a little bit more dal in it. And also I feel that the salt is a little it's sort of like lacking in a bit of salt, so adding another half a teaspoon of salt. And basically now this part of this dish is done. So now I'm going to make the thali, or the little what is thali called? It's called tempering of spices in Indian cooking. So you can use ghee, as I'm doing. As you can see, I'm a sucker for ghee. Okay, I'm just going to use a little bit, or you can use any other vegetable oil, as you please. And then when it heats up, oh, I haven't heated up the pan, you can add your spices. 1 teaspoon another. Okay, that's another thing I don't do when I'm adding spices. I don't use a spoon or this little thing here. For some reason I tend to open it all up. Okay, and then you can put in, let it just heat up. Okay, so as it starts to crackle and pop and splutter, you can hear the sounds, right? Yeah. Now you can add a teaspoon of asafoetida. Give it a stir so it doesn't like lump up. Add your onions and also the dried chili. The dried chili should have gone in earlier. It doesn't matter. Now you just try to toast it in here. It should have been dried chili and then onions and then asafoetida. I kind of did it all, you know, a little differently. Okay, now you add these spices in over here. So I was trying to get it all done properly, but it didn't. So yeah. Now this tempered spices or the paprika, it really is very, very good for the meal, for the dish. Reason being that when you add the tempered spices and the asafoetida into the cooked stew, it really takes the dish to the next level. It enhances the flavor, and but you should really try it in order for you to know what I mean. For Indian cooking, the tempered spices going on till at the end really makes the dish. So I will show you how the dish looks like now. So this is how my Malabar Spinach Kootu looks like. It's indeed a rich and very creamy, thick stew. The Malabar Spinach Kootu, it tends to thicken as it cools because it has lentils in it, and lentils does that. Whenever you have dal or lentils in as part of the ingredients of the dish, these lentils tend to soak up the liquid, so it would thicken up. So don't worry if it's a little runny in the beginning, as it would thicken up in the end. And you could eat this stew with hot rice, as I would love to. I love having this Malabar Spinach Kootu with hot rice and sour mango pickles. That is my ideal combination. I suppose that's the traditional Indian in me. So that's how I like it. On a rainy day, it's such a wholesome and hearty meal to have because it's quite complete on its own. But you could always have it with some toasted bread, or any other way that you like to have. You could even eat it on its own. So there's no hard and fast rules with healthy food. And yeah, another thing I'd like to say is that this stew is a very good meal, a very good dish to have if you're a vegetarian, because it is protein packed because of the lentils, and it also has the vitamins and the nutrition that the green vegetable has, which is the spinach. So that's me for today, signing off. Thank you everybody for joining me today, and here's Shakila Shanmugam signing off. Bye everybody, take care.